So The Mandalorian and Grogu has just been released, and if I'm being honest, I'm pretty disappointed. The Mandalorian TV show is one of my favourite pieces of Star Wars media ever. Like after Rise of Skywalker and The Last Jedi, I, even as a 12-year-old, just said, yeah, I'm kind of done with Star Wars. Like, I'm not really the biggest fan of the prequels, I didn't watch the TV show, and I was just mostly done. I would stay a casual fan and leave it at that. But I watched The Mandalorian, and holy shit, I loved it. Because it's not only just a good Star Wars thing, it's just a good show in general. It's like a gritty Western samurai TV show, and it just really works and expands out the universe, which is something Star Wars should have started doing after the prequels, instead of resurrecting every actor with their horrible CGI. So one of my favourite Star Wars properties, having the same production value of the sequels, you could say I was pretty excited. And I had high hopes for it. They weren't through the roof or anything, but I was just pretty excited to see what they would do and what would happen. I thought we'd finally see the conclusion to Mando's story, but we got this instead. Okay, I don't completely hate this movie. It does have some good stuff in here, with the biggest in my opinion being the music. The Mandalorian intro is up there like one of my top 3 best Star Wars songs ever. And they take that and go above and beyond with it for this movie. Ludwig Göransson really knows what he's doing when he's making a soundtrack. I mean, we all know this. We've all seen Oppenheimer, Sinners, and Central Intelligence, we know he can make good music. But this has got to be some of his best work. Like I said, the Mando theme is incredible, but who thought an electronic reimagining would work so well? There's also a 15-minute action sequence at the beginning that made me think this was going to be a really good movie. I think Mando works the best when he's just killing people John Wick style. It's the best non-lightsaber action fighting in Star Wars. There was a lot of creativity and choreography put in, and if they do a follow-up, I hope they do more of this. What else? The giant white snakes, he's really cool. I think this weird bounty hunter is really cool as well and auriful, but he doesn't really have much of a character. The cinematography and the VFX are both really good, and Rabba's a decent character, but that's about it. Okay, look, I don't hate the movie, but I don't understand why it was made. Like, I thought Mando was going to die in this, and we were going to see what happens to Grogu once he's gone, something they've been talking about for a while, but this doesn't happen. We get a bit of an insight on Grogu fending for himself, but it's for about 3 minutes and is mostly there to have some cute moments. Like, I don't even think anything really changed in the Star Wars canon after this movie. I also just hate how much of a tonal shift this has from the first 2 seasons, and even parts of the third. It had a really gritty tone, and that works for Star Wars because it shows us a lot more to the galaxy than just a happy-go-lucky adventures. I'm a really big fan of when movies aren't afraid to get gritty or edgy, I always love that shit, but this movie gets rid of all of that. And it's not even that they can't do this anymore, because the opening I was just talking about had this tone, and it works really well. It's also just a bigger issue I have with the Star Wars universe. Every character we follow is a good guy, and there's no wiggle room. And sure, that works for an action-adventure flick where we're following Luke Skywalker battling the dark side, but for a bounty hunter who's morally grey by trade, that shouldn't be the case. Mando should be okay leaving people he doesn't care about to die or have no greater purpose to him because he's a fucking bounty hunter. This is also just an issue across the entire board of Star Wars, especially with its bounty hunters. They're either maniacal, mustache-twirling villains or a goody two-shoes. Like, I was talking to my driver's ed teacher who reads Star Wars a lot, and he said there was a whole comic book about Boba Fett killing people while escorting Han back to Jabba the Hutt. Because that's exactly what bounty hunters do. They only care about the mission, and that is it. But now both the Mandalorian and Boba Fett, they're both good guys who couldn't hurt a fly. And that doesn't work because, again, like I said, it doesn't really flesh out the universe. We don't get to see anyone actually being a bad guy. We don't get to have a story following a bad or morally grey person. It just kind of feels a bit lazy. Speaking of the bounty hunting, the movie kind of becomes pointless around halfway through because Mando finds the guy he's after within the first hour or so. And after that, he's just saving Rata from the other Hutts. And like, I like Rata, I think he's a pretty cool character, but I don't care enough about him for him to get a movie where he's almost a co-fucking lead. I thought it'd be cool to have a movie where Mando's exploring the awakening in the First Order, seeing the Empire restructuring itself, because it isn't something we've seen much of. He could have gone after multiple targets, kind of like Kill Bill, and it could have been really interesting. But Dave Filoni still pissed you guys made fun of Rata the Hutt in the Clone Wars, so this is your consequence. But Dave Filoni and the rest spend too much time being salty about the Clone Wars movie that they forgot to write good dialogue. Most of the writing is just standard Marvel action movie writing, but there's times when it will just go full oblivion NPC.
You work for us, and right now, This is what we need you to do.
And this definitely isn't helped by the fact Jon Favreau couldn't direct his actors for shit in this movie. I get most of them are doing voiceover work, but Jesus, the dialogue is presented in such shitty ways. In the show, Pedro Pascal was actually in the suit, so he could play off both his environment and the direction he was given. But he doesn't in this, so there are legit times where he just couldn't care less.
Let's save the rest for after dinner.
Could not care less, and this actually kind of hurts his relationship with Grogu. In the show, he felt like a caring dad, but in this he feels more like an uncle who's been stuck with his brother's kid. They barely interact in any meaningful ways, and it's just such a fall off from the show. And if I'm being honest, this whole movie is a bit of a fall off from the show. This movie has no greater impact, no big story worth telling, and it just spends more time trying to justify itself than anything else. I had a lot of high hopes for this movie, so I say this with absolutely no joy, but the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is just a disappointing one that, just like the third season, is trying to recapture the perfection of the first two. And if Dave or John are watching this, please make another movie or season and kill Mando. I love the character, but I'd also love to see an ending to him and we get to see what happens. And I'd hate to see him get milked and stretched out to bare bones until there's nothing left worth telling for him. And also, for the love of God, if you're gonna make a Star Wars movie, make it feel like an event. Like, do you remember when the prequels and sequels were coming out? There was a certain buzz in the air, you know, everyone knew we were getting a new Star Wars movie. It was something that everyone was excited about, but I have heard no one talk about this movie. I've had a few people talking about it, but they've all said the same thing of, yeah, I like the TV show, but I don't think I'm gonna go watch it. But overall, I'm giving this movie a 5.5 out of 10. Do better.
I'm jumping in my ride, I'm heading out tonight. I'm solo, I'm Han Solo, I'm Han Solo, I'm Han Solo, solo. Picking up my plaster, putting it on my side. I'm jumping in my Falcon.